I love history because it does show you where you're coming from, and it gives you the chance to celebrate where you are and hope for the future. It's important to remember that these freedoms and opportunities that we enjoy as women today are the result of a long, hard-fought historical journey. Womanhood is a rich tapestry woven from countless experiences, roles and identities. And welcome to another episode of She with Ade the One. Believe it or not, it's the 1st of March. What's that about? Spring's round the corner, my dears. As we celebrate Women's History Month and International Women's Day, and even Mother's Day this March in the UK and Ireland, let's reflect, shall we, on the beauty of our diversity and the strength of our unity while we examine themes of educating girls and accelerating change in 2025. Wait, you didn't think I'd forget to ask you what you're truly grateful for this month, did you? I'll leave you a while to ponder that one, but I, for one, am really grateful for the women who have gone before us and paved the way, sometimes with their very lives. Women are wonderfully complex beings, embodying a spectrum of traits and talents. Some of us lead with logic, whilst others harness creativity, shaping the arts and culture that define generations. And then there are the many who blend these traits in so many unique, different ways, proving that the expression of womanhood, or humanity for that matter, cannot and should not be confined to narrow stereotypes. In the past months, we've exposed themes of individual uniqueness and collective power. We've examined what it means to be in love with yourself and how that helps you to be the best possible partner to your friends or your romantic other half. We've learned that there's no one size fits all when it comes to being a woman, and not every woman desires to follow traditional paths. Some are innovators, some are change makers who challenge the status quo and transform our world. These roles are as valuable as they are varied, and it is crucial that every woman feels empowered to express herself without the constraints imposed by patriarchy. So let's get into this. Let's talk about all of this. Let's talk about breaking molds, celebrating each type of woman, acknowledging that every expression of womanhood enriches all of us. There's a rich tapestry woven from countless experiences, roles, and identities. From nurturing caregiver to innovative leader, the modern woman often wears many hats, sometimes all at once. One day, she might be a mentor, a decision maker, a shoulder to cry on, and the glue holding a family together. This diversity of roles is what makes womanhood so dynamic and so powerful. It's a celebration of resilience and adaptability where each woman's path is uniquely her own, and yet we are all bound by this common thread of strength and compassion. I'd like us to celebrate the diversity of women's roles. We play every role imaginable. We are mothers, we are daughters, we are executives, we're entrepreneurs, we're scientists, we're artists, we're friends, and we're advocates. Importantly, no single role defines any one woman's worth. The stay-at-home mum and the corporate CEO each add equal value to this world in different ways. Modern femininity embraces this variety. It recognizes that a woman can be anything she chooses, really: a combat soldier, a caring nurse, an outspoken activist, or all of the above. The beauty lies in the freedom to define oneself. And yet, with so many roles to play, there comes an intricate balancing act. Celebrating womanhood also means acknowledging the daily juggle that many women perform. This includes shifting gears between career ambitions and personal life, meeting professional goals while caring for loved ones. One moment she's closing a deal or acing an exam, and the next she's helping with homework or lending emotional support to a friend. Moving seamlessly through these diverse roles is both challenging and rewarding. It's a dance that showcases the grace and perseverance at the heart of femininity. One of the most talked about, perhaps, facets of modern womanhood is the effort of balancing a thriving career with a fulfilling family life. Many women today pursue higher education and ambitious careers, many choosing to be mothers or caregivers, the latter often not being planned for. This dual sort of pull and push can be both exhilarating and exhausting in equal measure. On the one hand, it's empowering for a woman to build her professional identity, maintain her independence, and contribute skills in the workplace. And then on the other, society still, in many parts of the world, often expects her to be the primary caregiver at home. The result is that working women frequently find themselves juggling conference calls and school plays, project deadlines, and pediatric appointments. It's a delicate balance. The truth is, women are playing an increasingly central role in the workforce whilst maintaining family responsibilities. Almost 74% of mothers with children under 18 now participate in that same labour force, all the while continuing to perform the lion's share of household duties. This means millions of women start their workday early, get the kids to school, put on a full day on the job, and then return home to a second shift of cooking, cleaning, and bedtime stories. Small wonder that the conversation about work-life balance, including parental leave and flexible schedules, have become so important. Many women share stories of feeling stretched thin, but they also speak of that deep fulfillment that comes from succeeding in multiple areas of life. I know that people say we can't have it all, and I agree, but with with a slight twist. You can't have it all of the time. Another area of interest for me is that of overcoming gender stereotypes. So I'd like to dig into this a little bit. Even as women excel in diverse roles, they have had to overcome these stubborn gender stereotypes along the way. And for generations, society imposed these limiting beliefs about what women could or couldn't do. And you've likely heard some of those outdated tropes. Girls aren't good at maths. Women are too emotional to lead. That really riles me. A woman's place is in the home. I've even heard a woman's place is in the bedroom. Such stereotypes once kept women out of boardrooms, science labs, voting booths, and sports arenas. But one of the defining achievements of modern womanhood is how thoroughly these myths are being debunked. Every time a woman engineers a software breakthrough or pilots a spacecraft, she chips away at the old bias that STEM fields are for men. Every time a female executive leads a company to success, it undercuts the notion that men make better leaders. In fact, women today are more educated and professionally prepared than ever. In the US, for example, women now outnumber men amongst college-educated workers, accounting for just over half, it's about 50.7% of the college-educated labour force. This milestone speaks volumes. It means it reflects young women pursuing studies in law, in medicine, in engineering, in business, and every other field once dominated by men, and then entering those careers in vast numbers. Of course, representation at the very top is still catching up, but progress is evident. Not too long ago, it was virtually unheard of for a woman to run a Fortune 500 company. And today there are dozens of major firms led by women. In fact, the share of women CEOs in Fortune 500 companies hit an all-time high recently of 10.6% in 2023, with 53 women at the helm. Now, I know that still a small fraction of all CEOs, but it's a dramatic improvement from near zero just a few decades back. Similar strides are happening in politics, where more women serve as heads of state, legislators, and judges than ever before, breaking the stereotype that leadership is a male domain. I love history because it does show you where you're coming from, and it gives you the chance to celebrate where you are and hope for the future. It's important to remember that these freedoms and opportunities that we enjoy as women today are the result of a long, hard fought historical journey. Just over a century ago, the landscape of women's roles looked very different. At the start of the 20th century, most women were expected to center their lives around the home, around their men. In the Western world, only about 20% of women looked for pay outside the home around the early 1900s, and a mere 5% of married women did so. Careers in law, medicine, or academia, they were largely closed off to women. Higher education was a rarity. Fewer than a third of college students were female in that era, and political voice was minimal, maybe in some cases non existent. Women couldn't even vote in national elections in the US until the 1920s. Society at the time valued women primarily as wives and mothers, and stepping outside those prescribed roles often meant facing scorn or legal barriers. The suffrage movement early in the century won women the right to vote, asserting that women's voices matter in public decisions. During World War II, with all its horrors, women by the millions stepped into roles as factory workers, engineers, and military support staff, powerfully demonstrating competence in fields from which they'd been previously excluded. Although many were pushed back to domestic life after the war, and many were looked at with disdain during the war for performing those roles, the cultural genie was out of the bottle. Women had proven their mettle. The latter half of the century saw second wave feminism challenge traditional gender norms more directly. The 60s and the 70s brought fights for workplace equality, reproductive rights, and legal protections against discrimination. So more women pursued higher education, and by the 80s and 90s, it became increasingly common for women to have careers of their own. The idea that a woman must choose either family or career began to erode as more tried to have both. By the turn of the 21st century, women were astronauts, prime ministers, Fortune 500 CEOs, and anything else once deemed unthinkable. Each generation has built upon the gains of the previous one, slowly but surely expanding the realm of what women are allowed to do and be in society's eyes. I'd love to talk a little bit about the contributions of women across various fields. I mean, with doors now open in virtually every field, women have been making extraordinary contributions across the spectrum of human endeavour. And it would clearly be impossible to list every achievement, but a tour of the major domains shows the profound impact that women have had. With doors now open in virtually every field imaginable, women have been making great strides and contributions across the spectrum of human behaviour. Now, it would be impossible for me to list every achievement in every domain, but a tour of the major ones shows the profound impact that women have had. So shall we look at a few of them? I'm going to be very self-indulgent in this particular section because not only am I passionate about women, but I'm particularly passionate about the underrepresented. I'm going to indulge in leaders that I know of who are female from my part of the ethnic woods. So let's talk about business. Leaders like Indra Nooyi, the trailblazing former CEO of Pepsi Company, like Ibukun Awosika, who became the first female chairman of a major Nigerian bank. They've shattered glass ceilings in the corporate world. They not only excelled in their roles, but also actively mentored other women, proving that women can thrive at the highest levels of business. Their success shows young women that the boardroom door is open and that once you're inside, you should hold it open for others. Trailblazers such as Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Jacinda Ardern demonstrate the impact of women's leadership on the global stage. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, a Nigerian economist, became the first woman and first African to head the World Trade Organization after serving as a groundbreaking finance minister who fought corruption. From local community organizers to heads of state, female leaders have proven adept at guiding with empathy and strength. Indira Gandhi, Golda Meir, Margaret Thatcher, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Jacinda Ardern, and even the past German Pro-Chancellor, Angela Merkel, and more recently the Vice President of the United States. The list of women who have led countries continue to grow, each bringing her own style to governance. In civil society, women activists have been at the forefront of social change movements. Think of Rosa Parks sparking the civil rights movements, or Malala Yousafzai advocating for girls' education worldwide. Their leadership has not only advanced women's status, but driven progress on issues affecting all of humanity. And how about Tarana Burke? Her creation of the Me Too movement to support survivors of sexual violence have changed global conversations. And these activists teach us that courage and compassion together can challenge even the deepest rooted injustices. They started by speaking up about issues close to their hearts, and in doing so encouraged millions of others to raise their voices as well, and change has been the result of it. If we delve into the area of sports, icons like Serena Williams, Megan Rapinoe have dominated their sports while also using their platforms to champion equality. Young girls now grow up with heroines like Simone Biles and Katie Ledecky. Serena, arguably one of the greatest tennis players of all time, fought for pay equality in tennis and highlighted racial disparities in sport and healthcare. Megan Rapinoe, a World Cup winning soccer star, has been a vocal advocate for equal pay in sports and LGBTQ plus rights. On the field, they've both shown unparalleled excellence. Off the field, they exemplify leadership and advocacy. The achievements of women in sports have challenged stereotypes about physical ability while uniting fans in admiration of what matters, pure talent. Their victories and outspokenness inspire girls to be both strong and outspoken, to play hard and to speak up. For STEM, science, technology, maths and engineering, pioneers from the past to the present, such as Marie Curie, helped to unlock the secrets of radioactivity. earning 2 Nobel Prizes in the process. Katherine Johnson, an African-American woman working in the space program during the 60s, had to overcome both gender and horrible racial barriers, and she did so, along with many others, with brilliance and grace, helping send humankind into space. Dr. Fei Li, for her part, directs cutting-edge AI labs and also advocates for diversity in tech, co-founding initiatives to get more girls into coding and science. These women know and show that curiosity and intellect know no gender. Every time a girl reads about a scientist like them, she learns that she too can question, experiment, and discover at the highest levels. In arts and literature, women's voices have told stories that move and inspire, from Jane Austen's keen observations of society to Maya Angelou's soulful poetry of freedom. Women artists, musicians, and filmmakers have added rich layers to our global culture. Creative visionaries like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and Frida Kahlo have broadened our understanding of womanhood through art and through storytelling. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a renowned Nigerian author, uses her pen to challenge stereotypes and champion feminism. Her essays and novels, such as We Should All Be Feminists, have inspired global conversations about gender roles and identity. Love her or hate her, she's changed the narrative. Decades earlier, Mexican painter Frida Kahlo turned the pain and passion of her life into surreal, powerful artworks that still captivate and empower people today. In a world that's often trying to define or limit them, these artists have defined themselves on their own terms, and they remind us that women's voices, whether written, spoken, or painted, are all vital in shaping culture. Through creativity and courage, they've shown generations of women how to express their true selves unapologetically. They've won Oscars, Pulitzer Prizes, and global acclaim. But more importantly, they've told women's stories and human stories that might otherwise go unheard. The creative world is far more vibrant thanks to women's contributions, which explore themes of identity, love, struggle, and triumph in unique ways. From local community organisers to heads of state, female leaders have proven adept at guiding with empathy and with strength. Indira Gandhi, Golda Meir, Margaret Thatcher, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Jacinda Ardern. The list of women who have led countries continues to grow, each bringing her own style to governance. And in civil society, women activists have been at the forefront of social change movements. These examples barely scratch the surface. In every field, be it law, medicine, academia, business, or beyond, women have risen to the top echelons through talent and perseverance. They serve as role models for the next generation, lighting the path so others can follow. Just as important are the everyday contributions of women whose names might not make the headlines: the dedicated school teachers, the compassionate nurses, the engineers quietly solving problems, the entrepreneur currently creating jobs in their communities. The collective impact of women across all these areas reinforces the truth that when women are given the opportunity to participate and lead, entire societies reap the rewards in innovation, creativity, and prosperity. I'd like to talk a little bit about I'd like to talk a little bit about collective strength next, because if there's one thread that ties together the journey of womanhood, it's the idea of collective strength. Individually, women, and indeed all of humankind, is powerful, but collectively, they're a force of nature. Throughout history, women have banded together to support one another and to push for change. the suffragists marching for the right to vote, the feminist groups advocating for workplace rights, the Me Too movement spreading virally to combat harassment, all are examples of women leveraging unity to achieve what one voice alone could not. There is a special kind of energy that arises when women encourage and believe in one another. It creates a ripple effect, emboldening more women to step forward, to share their stories and to strive for their goals. Collective strength is not only evident in these grand social movements, but also in everyday networks of solidarity. Consider the informal sisterhoods that form in offices, neighbourhoods, and online communities. A working mum finds a circle of fellow mums at the school gates, and they trade babysitting duties and career advice. A young woman in a male-dominated industry connects with a mentor who has navigated that path before, and they create a support system. I'm a beneficiary of that. One of my mentors is Mrs. Emma Richardson. She took me through some very hard times through my career, and I will forever be grateful. I hope you're listening to me, Emma. Friends rally around each other during life setbacks, whether it's providing a meal to a new mother or cheering loudly at a friend's graduation. These bonds of sisterhood empower women to handle changes that might overwhelm them in isolation. And what's truly inspiring is how inclusive and global this collective can be. Modern tech and social media have enabled women from different corners of the world to find common cause. A single hashtag can ignite a worldwide conversation, proving that women in different cultures often share similar struggles and dreams. The empathy women extend across languages and borders, standing up for each other's rights to education, to safety, to respect, showcases the profound unity underpinning womanhood. It's a reminder that while each woman's experience is unique, there's a profound understanding that passes between women who see each other not as competitors, but allies. In reflecting on the richness of womanhood, one cannot help but feel a sense of awe. In just a few generations, the script has been completely flipped on many fronts. Women today navigate a world that offers far more opportunity than it did for their grandmothers, yet it also presents new complexities as they forge identities that previous generations could only, or probably couldn't really, imagine. Modern femininity is about choice. It's about self-definition. It's the freedom to be unapologetically ambitious, relentlessly kind, and fiercely independent, as well as deeply nurturing, all at the same time. It's embracing traditional feminine qualities and strengths while also claiming spaces traditionally reserved for the men. And until the distinctions begin to blur into irrelevance, there's still work to be done. Balancing roles will continue to test our ingenuity. Stereotypes will continue to be challenged and rewritten. But if the past is any indication, women will meet these tests as they always have, with creativity, with courage, and an enduring sense of community. Every story shared, every barrier broken, every achievement earned earns another vibrant thread to the fabric of womanhood. And as that fabric grows richer and more intricate, it carries the hopes of future generations. Girls growing up today can see themselves in that tapestry and know that they are woven from the same strong, colourful cloth. Slightly different, but also connected to the power of collective vision, is the power of sisterhood. As wellness advocate Layla Delia beautifully puts it, we gather and sustain one another by nature. And in other words, we're hardwired to encourage, protect, and drive one another to our best selves. One young leader from Zimbabwe who grew up with limited family support credits her success to her circle of sisters in a woman's network. I am who I am today because of the collective strength of my network. They are fearless and the true definition of sisterhood, she says. Her words ring true. When women band together, there's a sense of, if you stumble, I'll steady you. If you dream, I'll cheer you on. One of my best friends call it packing one another's parachutes. And this collective strength turns individual struggles into shared resilience and sparks changes that no one of us could achieve on their own. It's the kind of solidarity that not only empowers each woman in the circle, but also inspires others watching from the sidelines. The spirit of sisterhood doesn't stop at just emotional support. It often propels women to take action for each other. We see mentorship circles where experienced women guide younger ones, advocacy groups where women speak out on behalf of those who cannot, and community initiatives that connect women with resources and opportunities. When women sync up their efforts, challenges like starting a business, returning to school, or even confronting injustice become less daunting because everyone is pushing together. Women supporting women fosters an environment where empowerment is contagious and change becomes a team effort. And that leads me to talk to you about our group, Sister Sync. Sister Sync is all about women synchronizing their strengths, aligning in solidarity to lift each other up. It's about amplifying each other's voices, sharing our resources, and celebrating each and every milestone. So if you're looking for a community that champions women's empowerment, consider joining a Sister Sync cell. Together, we can turn your individual dreams into collective achievements. I'll link our website below where you can find more information, join our waiting list, and learn more to become part of this powerful net. Naturally, this leads us to think about the next generation of women and how we can use our collective strengths to uplift them. There's an urgency and real life impact to this. Yet around the world, millions of girls are still denied an education due to poverty, conflict, or cultural norms. The urgency is real, and so too are the opportunities. Investing in girls' education is not just a moral imperative for me, it's a smart strategy for development. Educated girls tend to marry a bit later in life, building healthier families and earning more income. And remarkably, women reinvest about 90% of what they earn back into their families and communities, compared to around 35% for men. Each additional year a child spends in secondary school can increase her future earnings by up to 25%. These aren't just numbers, they represent real lives changed. When a girl is educated, the benefits cascade. Her children are more likely to be educated and healthy. Her household income rises, as we've discussed, and her community gains a skilled, empowered member. In short, teaching a girl today plants the seed for a brighter, more prosperous tomorrow for everyone. We don't have to look that far to find stories to illustrate why educating girls changes lives. For example, in Malawi, a student named Christina was on the verge of dropping out because her family really couldn't afford to pay her school fees or supplies. She would walk a really long distance to school and struggle to keep up while also helping at her parents' stall and around the home. Then an education initiative stepped in with a scholarship and provided essentials like uniform, books, and even bedding for her dormitory. With those worries lifted, Christina thrived. She shot up to the top of her class and even outperformed her male classmates once she had been given the chance to focus on learning. It was just great, she said proudly, describing how her grades soared once she had support. Her achievement didn't go unnoticed in her village either. People began to say that her success had put their community on the map, showing everyone what a determined girl can accomplish. Christina's story is just one of many, but it paints a clear picture. Another powerful story is that of Malala Yousafzai, who, as a Pakistani schoolgirl, famously risked her life for the right to go to school. Malala's activism began with a simple desire. She wanted to learn, and she wanted other girls to learn too. Even a most horrendously violent attack could not silence her. In fact, it only made her voice stronger, and she went on to become the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize laureate, rallying the world to understand that one child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world. I make no apologies for becoming a little bit emotional at this point because this is my heart. Malala's journey from a remote valley to the halls of the United Nations underscores why educating girls is so urgent. The stakes are literally life-changing. Her story, Christina's story, though worlds apart, send exactly the same message. Educating girls creates empowered women who uplift other women. Every classroom open to a girl is a door open to progress. So how do we make sure that more girls like Christina and Malala get those opportunities? It starts with recognizing that this isn't just a job for educators and for non-profits. It's a collective responsibility. Families, communities, governments, and all of us allies have a role to play in breaking down these barriers. The good news is that supporting girls' education is something that we can all be a part of, whether by donating to scholarship funds, mentoring local students, or simply speaking up about the importance of equal education. And at this point, I'd like to take just a few minutes to focus on the Stellar Education Foundation. The Stellar Education Foundation is a foundation that I established 8 years ago in order to honour my mother, who happened to be the first female surgeon in West Africa to hold the fellowship of the Royal College of Surgeons. Yeah, I have huge boots to fill. The foundation is not just about academia, it's about empowering young women to rise above societal challenges and seize opportunities for growth and for leadership. By investing in education, we are crafting a brighter future for the following generation, ensuring that every girl has the chance to realise her potential. Each scholarship, each school built, and each teacher trained is a step towards this global change. And I'd like to invite you to be part of it. I will drop the link to my website, www.the-one-connection, in the description below, so that you can visit, make a donation if you will, and help us to get on with this important work. The second huge theme for March is that of accelerating change, which is the theme for the International Women's Day this year. Every one of us has a role to play in accelerating change for gender equality, whether you're mentoring young women, supporting women-led businesses, advocating for gender-sensitive policies, or simply educating your own self and others on gender issues. Every action does count. Companies can foster inclusive workplaces by supporting women in leadership roles and ensuring fair compensation and career advancement opportunities. On a policy level, supporting legislation that promotes education opportunities, safeguards reproductive rights, ensures workplace equality is important for systemic change. And understanding these issues is the first step, but real progress demands action. The question becomes, how can we accelerate change so that empowerment and equality aren't distant goals, but realities within reach? I hope still within my lifetime. The answer lies in tackling them at every level, in my opinion, personally, community-wise, corporate-wise, and policy. No matter who you are, where you are, you can contribute to advancing gender equality. And here are some practical ways, perhaps, that we can all speed up change. On a personal level, challenge gender stereotypes and biases in your daily life. Speak up if you hear dismissive or unfair comments about women and girls. Support the women in your circle. Be their friend who celebrates successes and the shoulder to cry on during setbacks. Don't be part of that miserable, bitter, speak behind their backs culture. Simple actions like sharing household and childcare duties equally, or encouraging your daughters, and even your sons, to pursue their interests without bias go a long way. Also, on an individual level, empowerment starts with how we treat each other and what we teach the next generation every single day. At a community level, change always starts locally. You can organise or join community support groups that support women's development, or even virtual groups such as our Sister Sync. Join a Women in Tech coding club or Mothers Support Group. Volunteer with organisations that coach girls or provide scholarship in your area. Become a mentor to a young woman or a girl in need of guidance. Sometimes just having someone to say, I believe in you, can alter the course of a life. Also, do celebrate and publicise other women's achievements in your community. Whether it's a neighbour who's opened a business or a girls' sports team winning a championship, so that success becomes visible and infectious. Building networks of mutual aid and encouragement at community level creates a foundation of empowerment that everyone can stand on. At a corporate level, workplaces have enormous influence on accelerating gender equality. If you're in such a position of leadership, lead with inclusion. Advocate for fair hiring practice, for equal pay for equal work, and diverse leadership teams. Establish mentorship and sponsorship programs within your company. Whether you're a manager or you're just starting out, you can be an ally. Amplify women's ideas in meetings. Call out biases or inequalities when you see them, and push for great policies like parental leave and flexible working arrangements that benefit caregivers, who are often women. Companies can also invest in women professionals training, create clearer paths for promotion, and encourage a workplace culture that genuinely values women's contributions. Will not only help women thrive, but also improve innovation and morale for the whole organization. After all, businesses succeed more when they harness the full talent pool and everyone feels empowered to contribute. At policy level, I'm speaking a bit over my head at this point, but some changes require the big levers of government and policy. And here our role as citizens and voters is crucial. Support policies and leaders that prioritise gender equality. This can range from local school board elections, ensuring that schools are inclusive of girls and encourage girls into their STEM programs, after school activities, all the way to national legislation. Policies that make a difference include funding for girls' education, law enforcing equal pay, affordable childcare, healthcare, paid family leave, a strong protection against gender-based violence and discrimination. By voting, by campaigning, or simply voicing your support for such measures, you push equality higher on the agenda. Additionally, perhaps encourage and support women to run for political office or leadership positions in your community. When more women are at the decision-making table, the issues affecting women and girls are far more likely to be addressed. In short, just use your voice and your vote. They are powerful tools, well fought for tools to drive systemic change. Each of these levels reinforces the others. When we live our values personally, it strengthens our community efforts. Inclusive communities produce talent and momentum that influence corporations and policies, and supportive policies make it easier for communities and individuals to thrive. So, by taking action at all levels, we create an upward spiral of progress. It's about everybody doing everything that they can, where they can, to challenge the status quo and accelerate the move towards equality. The path to change is truly a shared journey, and every step matters, no matter how small it may seem. As we wrap up today's episode, let's carry forward this spirit of empowerment and collective strength. Womanhood is a mosaic of experiences and roles, each as vital as the next. By supporting one another, by investing in initiatives, we not only honour the legacy of those who have paved the way, but also build pathways for those who follow. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me on this journey today. It has been quite a lot packed into a relatively short time, and you may want to listen to or watch segments over again. In the meantime, take care of yourself, and until next time, keep pushing boundaries, keep supporting each other, and let's continue to inspire change together.